Hi, this is Danielle and
Kyra,
and you're listening to Scrunchy-Fi, a show by mamas for mamas. Here we cover all the creative ways to make money, save money, and invest to reach financial freedom and live the life you want.
So there's definitely a lot of other expenses that are on my budget sheet that are not in those top three buckets: housing, transportation, and groceries, food. I have really worked hard to try to bring these prices down to as much as I can. I have called, negotiated, researched what are the best methods to controlling these costs. I'm going to go over a couple of those, and maybe there's something here that you can take away and try and to reduce some of your expenses. So one of them is car insurance. I know there's like that commercial, call us today and we'll save you $500. Um, Sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. I definitely call a couple times a year my insurance, try to get different quotes. My car insurance is actually kind of expensive because I need to have full coverage because I have an umbrella insurance, and I won't go into that. That's for my real estate side hustle. What I have found to help control that cost is one, going through Costco. Now, that's a big bulk store. You think they only sell groceries, but they also have a lot of other things. So, one of them is car insurance, and they have homeowners insurance, but they don't cover where I live in Florida. And actually, a lot of homeowner insurance companies are leaving Florida. I'm going to talk about that next. I called Costco, and they were actually to give me the best quote year after year for car insurance. One thing that I do have is a higher deductible, so that has helped to control that cost. I pay about $140 a month for two cars. One car is older, which is actually a little more expensive than my newer car. My newer car is 2 years old. And I have like $1,000 deductible. I'm not sure if I could raise that even more. Once you have an emergency fund, you can kind of have a higher deductible. The next one I want to talk about is home insurance. So I live in Southwest Florida. I don't know if you guys know, but there was like a almost Category 5 hurricane that came through my area. I don't know if you heard that on the news. So home insurance are piecing out. They don't want to cover Florida. My insurance right now is $100 a month. That might be a little bit cheaper in some areas, and that might be more expensive than maybe where you're living. I also go and get that quoted a couple times a year. So far, the thing that I have found that has been able to reduce that for me is getting a higher deductible, one, and reducing my personal property coverage. So they had my personal property, and that's the stuff that's in your house, like your dresser and your TV and all that stuff. I saw that they had that at $90,000, and I laughed out loud when I was talking to the home insurance because I was like, I have two kids. There's nothing in my house that costs $90,000. I would be scared to death if they broke something. So I actually dropped that to the lowest that they would allow me, because to replace the items in my house, even at the lowest that they quoted me, was $20,000. And really, to replace the things in my house is even less than that. But that helped reduce my home insurance. So that was really awesome. This that I have is life insurance. Not everyone has this. I have it because I have two little kids and it's like the adult thing to do. So I actually have gone through a few different kinds of insurances. But what I have right now is term life. So that's only having life insurance for a certain amount of years. And me and my partner, we chose that because we are working on having enough income, passive income, to cover our expenses, and just building up that nest egg. So by the end of our term, we will have more in that bucket than a life insurance policy. So we don't really feel it necessary to have life insurance for the rest of our lives. But with that said, I did use a life insurance like third-party agent to help me find a really cheap quote, and this was by far the cheapest that I found. We pay $42 a month for two people, And the company that I used is called Health IQ. So they offer health insurance for people that follow a healthy lifestyle. And one of the lifestyles on there is a vegan lifestyle, and you can go check it out. They have a lot of fact evidence about being vegan and extending your life and reducing a lot of risks. Um, so they were able to quote me a really good health insurance based on being, and you kind of have to prove and like take a test that you're vegan, and they have like questions on there that only vegans would know. So that was kind of one of the other expenses on my budget expense sheet is my phone, my cell phone plan. So this is me and my partner. We both pay $32 a month for our cell plan. And we used to pay something like, what was it? I don't know, close to like $90 a month until I discovered Mint Mobile. And everyone in the financial independence community was talking about Mint Mobile. And there's a few other ones like Google Fi and Republic Wireless, I think it is. These are all like really, really basic plans. Mint Mobile is just a layer step up from like the basic plan. They offer data plans for only the data usage that you use. So I used to have unlimited data. I just kind of stuck with that. But when I started to dig in to see how much data I was actually using, me and my partner, it wasn't more than like 3 gigs a month. So when I was paying like $90 a month, I switched to Mint Mobile. And at the time, their lowest plan was 3 gigs a month at $15 a month. Now it's 4 gigs a month at $15 a month. So I get an extra gig that I don't even use. But nowadays I have 2 little kids, and sometimes I kind of like creep that data to like the limit. It's like, oh, you have 2 more days left and you're gonna run out of data. So one way that I've found to get around that is downloading any like if there's something that your kid wants to watch or music or whatever, I actually download a lot of things to my phone. So it's stream it, but it's not live streaming while we're out and about. Another thing that I have worked hard to reduce my expense with is my internet service, and that's at $25 a month, which is very cheap. We only have one provider for the most part in my area. And maybe you guys have the same provider. They are a monopoly. The service was under my husband's name, and I switched it to my name when we moved into a new apartment, and they gave me their like starter basic discount plan for new customers, and that was that $25 a month. It's 25 Mbps. That is the slowest, and maybe some people might laugh at that speed, but I'm going to talk to you about that speed. Okay. So they gave me that, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm only paying for the speed that I need. If you're doing all the basics and just not doing like gaming, I would call and test out that 25 Mbps. On Netflix, they say you only need 5 Mbps in order to like stream Netflix all day long. And then on Zoom, they tell you for like working remote, you only need 3.8. And that's like for webinars doing like, full on audience Zoom calls. So that's very, very low. So I would call and test out a slower speed. I don't want to say it's slower, but it is slower. But it really there's no difference. There's no lag. So one of the other expenses on my budget expense sheet, and this is for everybody, utilities. So I'm talking about electricity, turn the lights on. I don't need heating, but I need AC like all day long, 365 days a year, unfortunately. And then water, paying for water. I have to pay for my water. I own my home. So my electricity is usually like $100 a month, and that might be expensive and that might be cheaper to some people. But I'm gonna talk through a few things that you can do to try to reduce it. And then my water is about $85 a month. So with electricity, I don't know if many of you know this, but your electricity company charges you more to use electricity during peak hours. when you get that statement or go on their website, they're going to tell you when peak hours are and when off peak time is. That's during off peak time is when you want to run your laundry. It's when you want to take your shower. Like if you could kind of like navigate around that time frame, like you might find a little relief in there with your electric bill. But one of the other things that I did that I saw online was reduce my water heater temperature. So like my water heater was like, I don't know, at like 125 Fahrenheit. And I was like, it's boiling water every time I need to take a shower. So I reduced that, and I think that helps a little bit. And then into saving on your water bill, of course, you want to get all those like low flow things. That'll help. For my water, my company charges me if I use it or not. So I'm at $85 a month. They charge me $45 no matter I use it or not. So it's kind of like annoying. But you pay for the pipes. But yeah, get the low flow. And then one of the little tricks that I did was not only do I have the low flow like shower head and everything, I read on the for the sink for the faucets, I went underneath the sink and I closed that valve, that water valve, just a little bit so it would reduce the water flow even more. And like some people notice, but you don't really notice because sometimes you're like running the water and you don't even need to, brushing your teeth or something. So reducing that valve kind of reduces the water flow coming out. So you can say, all those little driplets of pennies you'll be saving. It's really important to track your expenses so that you can find out where you can save. So if you're not looking at any of it, it's kind of oblivious and you just like pay the bill and move on with your life. But when you see consistently like, hey, my electric bill is always it's 150 a month. Like it's in your eyes. And if you are able to cut $50, and that might be $5 here, $5 there. Let me change my internet speed to save $5. Let me change my cell phone plan, save $5 there. All those $5 add up, and you start to see like this little gap of income growing a month. The difference between your income and your expenses, that's your gap, not your thigh gap. This is financial independence gap. Okay. So we want to grow that. And every $50, $5, everything helps. You're able to then flip that into if you're paying off debt, or if you're in the next phase of saving, emergency fund saving for a house, saving for specific things. Next phase is saving for financial independence. So this is what's really important. Knowing what your expenses are and knowing where you might be able to shave off a little bit and then seeing that growth.
I keep a very basic budget. It mostly involves looking at personal capital and tracking our expenses. So we save money in a couple different areas. Housing, like I mentioned. Food, we shop at grocery stores like Costco and Grocery Outlet, which are discount and bulk groceries, as well as buying clubs with our friends. We save money with cell phones. My cell phone is it is an iPhone SE from 2016 that I got for free from a Buy Nothing group, including the cover and everything. So my cell phone literally cost me nothing. And no, it's not the most high quality phone. And I have thought about that as far as being an entrepreneur and do I want a higher quality phone? At this point, it's working out for me okay, but that's something I consider. And our cell phone plan is relatively inexpensive. We have T-Mobile and we pay $50 for two phones and we have unlimited plans. So that works for both of us. My partner uses a lot of data, so unlimited plans make the most sense for us financially. We save money as far as transportation. I touched on that a little bit before, but our cars are relatively inexpensive. They save on gas, and we're not upgrading our cars. Another way we save money is through travel hacking. So I get new credit cards periodically and get the bonuses and the cash back and the miles, depending on the card, and then use that for travel. For example, we're going to travel to Costa Rica. I've had two cards that got United airline miles, And so we have enough airline miles to cover 3 tickets and a lap infant to Costa Rica and back. So I'll be using miles for that. We use Airbnb. We stay in relatively cheap places, so that also helps our budget. Another way that we really save a lot of money is by being very mindful about our purchases. Like today, I went to like this craft fair with my daughter, and it's very easy to just buy things and, think something's really great and get it. And I'm very mindful of spending money on these cute items. What exactly is going to happen with them in the future? Are they really going to add value to our life? And if not, that's money that I basically traded hours or minutes of my time for that I'm not going to get back. And I'd rather invest that and see some growth as far as investment returns and compound interest instead. Another area that we save a lot of money in is with clothing. For example, everything I'm wearing is from a thrift store. I bought this headset used. So there's a way on Amazon to go to Amazon Warehouse and actually get items that have been used, very lightly used, and you get a huge discount. Like this was over 50% off, and this is I think a $300 headset. So I got it for $100, I think, and $30. So my clothing, most of it is used from thrift stores for a fraction of the price that it is new. I also make these choices thinking about the environment, not just money. I have children. I want, not even if I didn't, I want to be a good steward of the earth. Another thing that we save a lot of money on is cloth diapers. We've been cloth diapering. We've done it with both of our children, and it's saved us thousands and thousands of dollars. I think in total, I've probably spent, because of traveling, et cetera, maybe $500 on diapers total. And the cloth diapers, a lot of them I got for free, hand-me-downs from friends. We also accept hand-me-downs from all of our friends. I'm not bashful about it. I don't have any pride. I think it's great. No one really should need to buy kids' clothes. I feel like we could all just keep cycling these clothes over and over, and every child in the world could probably have, be clothed in what is currently available. We probably don't need to manufacture tons more clothes. So that's just also a philosophy I have, but it also translates into a lot of savings. I'm really not somebody who tries to look a certain way or keep up with the Joneses. I'm a pretty simple person, so I don't really get caught up in a lot of the traps of like wearing certain jewelry or anything like that costs a lot of money. I do spend a lot of money on things that I find very valuable, like, organic shea butter and things like that, that I think are helpful for our family and, that are natural and promote health. You will find me spending full price on supplements, but also I'm always looking for those promo codes. So I'm going on Google and I'm Googling promo codes. I'm signing up for wholesale accounts, which you can do as a small business owner, which I am a small business owner. So I have a wholesale account with Star West Botanicals, and I get a lot of my herbs from them, and it's like 50% off. And you don't have some minimum amount you have to buy to be a wholesale account holder. So those are just little hacks that I use to save money on things I'm already buying. And when I also save money on my insurance because we have our homeowners, our car insurance, and our life insurance all with the same company. And so we get some discounts. So we have that all through AAA. So we save some money with that. And I've run our like homeowners insurance, for example, through some apps that, compare it to other insurances, quotes, and we always have the best deal. So, and I'm always shopping around, and I'm always getting on new deals. So for example, like with Comcast, being a customer of theirs for like over 10 years, I know that you have to constantly call after your trial is over or your certain rate is over and get the new rate. And so I've been doing that for years, where I get the introductory rate. The year is over, the 2 years are over, they bump up the rate, I call, I get it reduced again. And luckily I'm part of a partnership, right? So if my account, if they don't want to reduce the rate, well, my partner is a new customer, and so we just jump on and have him have the Comcast in his name, and now we have another rate. And so right now the Comcast is currently in his name because I exhausted all my options in my name. So I'll give a couple of funny stories about how I've saved money, and then I think I've given my overview of my budget. So once my partner and I went to Australia to travel and just have fun, and we decided to rent a car. And me, being the frugal person I am, was like, oh my gosh, renting a car is super expensive. And I found they didn't have, so I loved Blah Blah Car in Europe, and I think in other countries, right, have Blah Blah Car where you basically get these like ride shares, which is awesome. And we don't really have that. I think Uber has a little bit of a version of that, but it's not mainstream. Most people don't use it, and it's not the same. So I found this website where you could say like, hey, I have a car and I'm going to, for example, I was like going to like the Daintree Forest. And so I posted that I was, and a couple other tourists wanted to come. They came and paid basically the cost of our gas and a lot of the cost of the rental to get that ride. And so we ended up saving basically the entire cost of the car because we opened up some seats for some other tourists. And so that's like kind of a cool way that we save money. And I always hold that in the back of my head of like, you know, in the future, that's a great way to save money, right? Like if you're doing a around the world or around the country trip or road trip, you can rent out seats in your car. One final way that I save money is by fully utilizing our library. I get museum tickets, like for my daughter's 5th birthday. We are going to a very expensive museum. I think it's like $50 a person for free because our library gives 2 tickets per library card holder per year. And we haven't used our tickets yet. So we're going to this very expensive, beautiful museum for free. And we also get this physical pass for the Children's Museum here in Marin County. And we get to go for free anytime we want by checking out that physical pass. And I've ordered books from the library, like asking them to purchase books they don't even have so that I get brand new books that I get to read. I really never have to buy books. So I save tons of money. They have ebooks, they have audiobooks. And then if I really want an audiobook that they don't have, well, I just jump on an Audible trial and I listen to that maybe once a year type experience of a book that isn't at the library that I want to listen to. Like right now, I'm listening to The Myth of Normal by Gabor Mate, brand new book for free on Audible because they're giving me a free trial every year. I don't know if that's their policy, but every year I've been able to get a free trial with Audible. So those are just a couple kind of silly, fun ways that I save money and don't have to spend money on an Audible trial or on books ever.
So I use Personal Capital to track my expenses also. I link my checking account, my savings account, my credit cards, all my credit card hacking ones, and any loans that I have, and my investments. They have a really cool budgeting tab, and you can go in there. Since all your cards are linked, it'll add up and calculate all your expenses for the month. You can add a budget tracking number. So for example, I usually spend around $3,600. So I can put that into Personal Capital 3,600 and it will have this little pie chart fill up the bar of how much expenses I've spent, and it'll go into the red if I've spent over 3,600. About midway through the month, I will log into Personal Capital on my phone while I'm hanging out with my kids, and I look at that budgeting section in their app. I look at each category as far as groceries, gas, personal spending, traveling, all these different categories, and I can see if I have spent too much or if I'm going to be under budget. The time that I'm really looking at it is if I'm spending too much. For example, if I have a category for restaurants and if we are getting close to that budgeting number, I kind of dial it back and say, hey, let's cook more at home instead of spending more on eating out because I know we're going to go over budget. If you have enjoyed the show, please share with another Scrunchy Mama and hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. For show notes, resources, and links to our other video shorts, check out our website, scrunchify.com.